Welcome, sports fans of all ages, cultures around the world, around the country. This is another episode of Sports for the Culture presented to you by Gas Sports. I am tonight's host. It's your boy Rome. You can follow me, YourGrome22. That's Twitter and IG. I'm gonna let the fellas introduce themselves. Let's start with the bottom left.
Oh, that's me, baby. T Boogie. Hope everybody staying safe out there. Wash your hands, wash your ass. I wasn't here the last week. It was good to be back. My fans miss me. They say they need me on the show. I'm back, man. Shout out to my manager Naya too, man. She gave me some pointers. So see how this thing go.
Hey, bottom right, what's up?
Hey, it's your boy D Melo. I want to shout out to my barber, brought me back to life, to the new era. How you fellas living?
Hey, we good, baby.
Good. Hey, top left, man.
What's up? Y'all know what time it is. Scruff Lion, Gas Sports, for the culture. Y'all know what time it is. Shout out to the dads out here. I see you, Rome. You got the hat, brother.
Yeah.
So shout out to the dads, T Boogie. Shout out to the dads, Geraldo. You my son. So nah, all jokes aside, baby. Let's get it.
Hey, man, as you can see, we're in a cheerful mood today. We got some good news to talk about, man. Sports are definitely coming back, and it's sounding very positive. But let's start with the NBA, guys. The NBA is looking to track players with COVID symptoms, and they plan on using a smart Aurora ring, if I pronounced that right. This kind of sounds like the billionaires are trying to just protect their investment to me, or could it be the best plan of action? T, I'm gonna let you kick this one off, man. What do you think about this Aurora Ring test COVID thing?
I think, like you said, I think the billionaires are just trying to. I think really they're trying to find a way to do this as safe as possible, but also kind of cover their own ass in a sense to say we did everything we could because people are going to test positive. Let's not act like somebody's not going to slip through the cracks. So I guess to avoid potential fallout, they're trying things, and it's not just the Oura ring. I think they're looking at Fitbits. They're looking at a variety of options, just trying to track temperature, heart rate, sleeping patterns to show when an infection, the onset of an infection, and hopefully that'll let you know and you catch it early enough where you won't have these super spreader incidents. But I think it's a good idea, and if they could bring the NBA back doing that, then I'm all for it. Let's give it a shot.
Scruff, what are your thoughts on this?
Shoot, man. I mean, it's pretty dope, cutting edge technology. You know what I'm saying? From what the sounds of it, what I looked up on the specs of it. But ultimately, every precaution needs to be taken. You know, and honestly, from the COVID perspective, the thing about the league startup, man, it's two-pronged for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm pivoting the conversation with what I'm gonna say, but it's like two-pronged because it's like, all right, yeah, you got the pandemic element of it, and then you just got the social, racial element of what's going on in the world right now as well. So it's also that kind of factor, and that's what's on heavy on a lot of hearts and minds and stuff within the league. So, you know what I'm saying? I think that's also playing into the factor as well. Because, you know what I'm saying? It's also a time. That's why the league, you got people coming out, taking votes, you know what I'm saying? Trying to exercise people's options and let people, speak on how they want to be felt. That way they're all heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. All right, G, man, what you think about this Aurora Ring, man? You think it's a good idea, or you think the billionaires just trying to keep track?
I think it's a great idea. At the end of the day, we want the safety for all these players, right? Because everybody at the end of the day got to go back home to a family, and not just the players, but the staff. So yeah, that's a great idea. In the short run, it's a great. I mean, in the long run, do you really want to see players like that? Being
That's a good
controlled,
point.
being told what to do. That's like the yin and yang about this whole situation right now.
All right, so we all kind of agree that it's a good idea for the NBA to do something like that, but there's other leagues that are coming back as well. Major League Baseball announced today that they're gonna do a 60-game season. The players actually agreed to it, so they actually figured something out here. But since they are gonna do a season and they're gonna start camping July 1st, man, do you think they should try to co-opt something like the NBA is doing? G, what you think? Should the MLB follow the NBA suit?
Of course, I don't even think just them. I think all the leagues should do something like the NFL. Like what Dr. Fauci said, like he doesn't see the NFL coming in without them putting themselves in some kind of bubble as well. I think it'd be great for all leagues to do the same thing. Because why? Like your interest is at the end of the day is to protect your product, right? And your product is your players. I get it with the MLB. It took them a while to get it together. Even though like this is the agreement they made it up in March, I believe, and then the owners backed out because of some revenue issues, some money argument between the players and the ownership. So I personally blame the owners on this, on the delay of the baseball season. I think baseball should have been started because it's a sport that players play out in the outfield. It's not such closed in. Besides your catcher and your batters and your umpires, besides those three posts. But yeah, man, this is great. This is what all leagues should do. They should follow the blueprint that the NBA gave us.
Yeah, Dr. Fauci did mention that the NFL should likely do a bubble the same way the NBA is doing. T, what are your thoughts, man? Are the NFL owners going to be willing to do something like that, or are they too money hungry?
I think the NFL owners will do it, but like maybe on a state-to-state, case-to-case situation where you see some teams say, "Hey, our state's open. We'll go half capacity," and then you'll see other teams say, "No, we're playing with no fans." I mean, I think Dr. Fauci was the head guy for the leading guy for infectious diseases. I think we really got to listen to him and try to do this because it seems like everyone wants sports back. Social. It seems like everyone's trying to push, at least the billionaires, at least the owners, right, are trying to push this thing forward. And when that happens, when the money moves, it's going to happen. So I think it's a good idea. Like if you're going to do it, test as much as possible, bubble up your little town or your little city and figure it out.
Scruff, man, what are your thoughts on this? Should the MLB and NFL do the same bubble idea as the NBA, or?
Yeah, they're gonna have to do something like that. They're gonna have to. It's tough though because you're talking about a little bit. It's gonna be a little bit later. The thing about the NFL that they're gonna face is like that's gonna be right in the fall season. It's fine. Everybody's ready to go ahead and just get started. But when the winter comes up, you might be dealing with some type of second wave. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they got to consider, and that's what they're up against. The bubble situation. I would advise both of the leagues that are going to be following the suit of the NBA, who already jumped and are now trying to find a bridge to land on, would be to just be careful with it location wise. NBA chose Orlando. Right now numbers are kind of skyrocketing in Orlando to a certain degree, that area of Florida. So not saying they're going to change course at this point, but I would say for the other two leagues to move wisely, move slowly, and just try to move as methodically as possible with this type of situation.
Definitely.
It's a perfect opportunity.
Go ahead, T. Nah, T, jump in.
Oh yeah, okay. So I think it's a perfect opportunity for the MLB. I think they accepted around 60 games. I think that's what it is right now. It's perfect. As a guy that doesn't traditionally watch baseball, less is more in this situation. 60 games. I don't care if you have fans or not. If that's on TV, people are going to watch it. People are dying for any type of competition. I mean, I don't really care about the rest of the 180 games or whatever. Like, just give me the 60. Just give me every game really matters. I heard something like every MLB game is like worth 10. Every 10 MLB games worth one NFL game. Like that's crazy. MLB needs to grow, and they need fans. So 60 games is perfect. This is the perfect opportunity. They have the spotlight on them. They need to take it. They need to go more than any other league.
As someone who is a fan of baseball, I honestly agree with you, man. A 60-game season is something I think they should look at. I think the 162-game season is way too long. I honestly think the NBA season is a bit long, but that's another discussion. G, you had some thoughts, man. Go ahead and jump in.
Hey, so we're talking about states and location. Like for the NFL, where you guys want to, because I can't see the NFL go state to state for these 32 teams to keep on playing. Like now you're talking about airlines, you're talking about bus drivers. Like you might infect or players get infected by other staff. So what state would you see NFL play? Somewhere like in Texas, where they have multiple stadiums. I got
a good location.
Where?
How about the brand new Allegiant Stadium built in Las Vegas for the Raiders? Beautiful facility. I seen it. I didn't see it firsthand, but I've seen some pics from some inside folks. Man, it's pretty impressive looking, beautiful building. I say, why not put that thing to work?
But I'm saying though, right? So you're talking about 32 teams all located in Vegas. Mind you, how they're going to play out those games?
They got to split them up. 2 locations, most likely. AFC, NFC, something. I don't know.
Why not just Texas, where it's like Texas is like football country?
I mean,
You have
my
no
opinion,
apologies.
the NFL isn't going to do anything different. I think we'll see football in every state that the teams play in. I think at most they'll be limited to no fans. I think that'll be the biggest difference for the football season. Doubt they'll do that bubble or anything like that. But this is all very interesting because the next question that I'm gonna bring up here is obviously health and safety is a big concern for any player or anybody who has any type of job. So a lot of people have been sitting out from work. How do you guys feel about players that might want to sit out from playing during this COVID crisis?
That's a good
Uh,
question.
Depends on what your priorities are. Like, didn't we just have one of the basketball players where he was just like, I'm sitting out just to be with my child, and you got to applaud that because he's really like family over anything.
I think that's a great sentiment. I forget her name, and this is horrible for me to forget her name, but a WNBA player actually just said she was gonna put her season on pause or her career on pause to help fight social issues. So I mean, a lot of players, and Scruff mentioned this earlier, that the social aspect is a big part of this too. So how do you guys feel about players sitting out for either one, COVID or social justice? T, I'm gonna let you go first again.
Sit out. I think Bertan said he's sitting out just for the
Yep.
sake of sitting. He had a career season, and I think he loses 600K, but he stands to make I don't know what at least a double digit million contract, 10, 15 million a year, if not more. So he's sitting out. I think Ariza might be sitting out too.
There you go.
Yeah, that's who you're talking about, Ariza. Yeah, if you want to sit out, if you don't feel safe, like why would you even play? Like your mind's not even gonna be in the game. Your family, your life, whatever else means more than the sport. So sit out. I mean, I think we'll run into an issue if we see a big name sitting out, but I really don't anticipate too many big names sitting out. I think it's kind of a brotherhood where they're saying, all right, I'm going to war, you're going to war, we'll go to war, and a real brotherhood, not that Drew Brees brotherhood.
Hey, Drew Brees ain't gonna get no love on this show for the whole season.
No love.
Never again.
Hey, Scruff, man, what you think about players sitting out, man?
Honestly, man, it's like any other job, It's like a lot of the companies, you got to do what people feel comfortable doing. Ultimately, this is their job. The NBA is their employer, and they need to act accordingly. So, if a player was electing to do that, I don't see nothing wrong with it. I don't think there should be any type of fan feeling of like, even if it was a high profile player. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, you got to respect it because if you're in that same decision, you would ultimately hope that somebody would respect your decision. We're all like, adjusting our lives and stuff like that. So, health and safety is a concern. Ultimately, each player has to make a decision that's according to them. It's like players sitting out games in college because they know that they're about to be draft eligible to protect their own eligibility. That's what Bertans is doing essentially. He's saying, hey, look, why risk it? I got my bag coming up. I got to protect my bag. That was a smart move. And if I was his agent, I would advise him to do the exact same thing. No disrespect.
All right, all right. Before we move on, fellas, I want to throw one more thing in there, man. So it's got me thinking since the MLB is going to have a shortened season, 60 games, and the NBA obviously isn't going to look the same. With the NFL being the only sport, the only major sport that's looking like it's going to have a full season still, are we going to put an asterisk on these teams, on these championship teams when the MLB and the NBA season are done? Me personally, being a baseball fan, if you win a 60-game season and the other 100-some years of baseball had 160-some games, you're half a champion. That's just my personal thoughts on it, but I'm very interested to hear what you guys think. G, I'm going to kick it to you.
Yeah, as a Yankees fan, and we've been cheated out 3 years in a row. I haven't seen the MLB put an asterisk sign against Boston and those with Houston. Until they put those asterisks on those, and if the Yankees were to win this year, I have no problem. What asterisk? They played the season. And it goes on with the NBA. The NBA season was like what, only 20 games left before this started? I'm gonna put an asterisk on that when this season was almost complete. We already knew who was going to the playoffs. So what are we talking about when it comes to the NBA? And the only asterisk that we'll probably put will be in football because we don't know if they're gonna even pause the season. Like let's say they have 3 games into it and then they stop it and then they play only the months of half a month of November and December and go from there. Like that's maybe the only kind of sports that I'm gonna put an asterisk to it. But with baseball, I can't put an asterisk. Come on now, man. if they don't put an asterisk with the Houston, damn Houston.
They do got to put an asterisk on
Boston?
Houston. Hey, you know who doesn't have an asterisk though? My guy right here, Max Scherzer and the Nats. Y'all see that? Yeah, those are true champions right there, baby. True champions, no asterisk. Hey, so T man, you love the NBA, bro. You're like an NBA historian, damn near, man. You not gonna put an asterisk next to them this year at the championship team?
LeBron wins. Nah, let me stop. Yeah, I am. I think in every league, if you win, I'm calling you a COVID champ. I'm not letting you in the Hall of Fame on your COVID ring. I'm glad you got it. So it's still going to shine. It still have diamonds, but yeah, it's asterisk, and that's just what it is. I mean, otherwise, like, don't play. Like, just take your COVID championship and come back stronger next season. You should be thankful that you're still getting paid for less work. I mean, it's a lot of us out here that lost jobs. It's a lot of us out here that still had to go to work, and nothing changes. These guys get a little bit of a break, a little bit of rest, and still can get the same accolades. But I'm giving Ashes COVID champ.
Hey, so Scruff, when LeBron wins the championship, man, you gonna be calling him a COVID champ?
I will call him. I will not be making a negative implication on his resume. It will be a badge of glory. You feel me? It will be the cherry on top of a great season. Because ultimately, a champion is one that overcomes obstacles, by any means necessary through, good times, bad times, uncertain times. So whoever champion comes out of this thing, they are a real champion, certified, sealed, and delivered.
Not giving LeBron no Purple Heart for taking a break and resting his old bones and managing to get his strength back. I'm not, no, man. No.
Hey, you still got the Jordan jersey hanged up somewhere in your closet?
Always. Kobe too.
Kobe
he needs
too,
to
that's
go
right.
through the gauntlet, win every game in win every playoff matchup, and then go through somebody big. Go through Kawhi, go through Giannis, like in a full season for me to give him that, just do. I'm hating.
Them extra games don't mean nothing. Ultimately, the playoffs is the playoffs, and that's when shit gets real. So the playoffs gonna be the same grizzle, if not more intense. It's gonna be a fucking bubble. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be some different shit. No, you know what I mean? Be real. Different. It's gonna be different. Somebody gonna go through that.
This goes out to T. T's about to be inducted to the Player Hater Hall of Fame. Shout out to Chappelle.
I got to agree with Tito, man. I'm gonna look at it as a COVID championship for the NBA and the MLB, man. It wasn't a normal season. I kind of feel what you're saying, though, Scruff. Like, as far as the NBA goes, we do know who's going to be in the playoffs, and it's still going to be different and probably real intense with the whole bubble situation. But I mean, everything that's happened in 2020, whoever wins the championship in 2020, you're going to be remembered as a COVID champ. Anything that happens this year is going to be connected to COVID. But yeah, man, let's keep it pushing, G. What we got next?
Hey, so fellas, now we're talking about the NFL. We're talking about the top 5 quarterbacks of this coming up year and how you guys are ranking them. Scruff, go ahead.
And you want to kick it to me first? All right,
man.
So I want to clear something up, man. I said I couldn't think of nobody when I said who's the best quarterback in the league. I thought it was Russell Wilson. I couldn't think of nobody better than Russell Wilson. I didn't think too long because I forgot about Patrick Mahomes because that's my number one guy. So I'm gonna start from the top. Patrick Mahomes is my number one guy. I don't think we need to argue about that. Russell Wilson, number 2. I got Russell Wilson, number 2. I got Lamar Jackson, number 3. Now, 4 and 5 is where, honestly, I think there's a top 3, and I think there's a major drop off after that. So you could really argue anywhere from here. But number 4, I got Carson Wentz. Number 5, I got Deshaun Watson, and that's my top 5.
Bro, you put Carson Wentz over Deshaun Watson, bro? Okay, T, go ahead. I got
the stats to back me.
All right.
Wow,
T said. I got Mahomes at 1. I think we're probably going to do that unanimously. Let me get my list. I got you see that good ass sports logo? There it is. I got Lamar Jackson and Russ at they're tied, right? I don't think there's a Ravens fan that would trade Lamar Jackson for Russell Wilson. I don't think there's a Seahawks fan that would trade Russell Wilson for Lamar Jackson. So I got them tied right there. The next guy I got is Deshaun Watson. I didn't know how many people was gonna have in his top 5, but he's a guy. I think he plays the game smart. I'm anxious to see him do it without a big time receiver, but I think he still get it done. He's a gamer. That comeback was it Buffalo in the playoffs.
Yep.
And number 5, you see, I got 4 black quarterbacks, and then I got a diabolical hater, man. Drew Brees, man.
You did it. You put him in.
He's at 5 for me, man. I don't want to put him at 5, but I think he earned it. He consistently gets it done. I mean, you can't turn your back on him in fantasy. You turn your back on him in real life, and I'd applaud you. But the guy is consistent. I watched him drop almost 10 to 50 on a talented 49ers defense and a shootout. So I can't take nothing away. I got Breeze at 5, man.
Hey, that is a shock, bro. I just got done saying we wasn't gonna show that man no love, and you got this man in the top 5. That shows that we're being
quarterbacks ahead of him. Though. You know what I'm
saying? That shows that we're being objective. We're definitely being objective. Much like your list, I have 4 black quarterbacks also, but that was not on any type of bias or anything. Like I genuinely went through my top 5 quarterbacks, and I'm proud to say that the top 5 or 4 of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now are black, and I think you'd be hard pressed to disagree. So I'm gonna break down my top 5. Of course, Patrick Mahomes. Not even gonna say too much. Super Bowl MVP. Number 2, Russell Wilson. Man, if Patrick Mahomes wasn't on whatever he's on, man, he's on a whole nother stratosphere. If he wasn't Patrick Mahomes, if that wasn't a real person, a real life superhero, Russell Wilson will be hands down the best quarterback, and I don't even think that's debatable. So 1 and 2, and then I think it's a bit of a drop off. At 3, I got Deshaun Watson. T, you hit it on the head, man. Dude is a gamer. Of course, he had DeAndre Hopkins, and that anybody could be good with DeAndre Hopkins, but I think he's going to be just fine without him. That man wins, man. He's a baller. He's been winning since college. He just knows what to do. He just got it in him. He got the juice. And then number 4 is another man who got the juice, and that's Lamar Jackson. I couldn't put Lamar above Watson just yet. I want to see a little bit more. I know Lamar had that MVP season last year or whatever, but then it was a big dud in the playoffs, man, and that hit for me. You gotta show up when it's big. Watson had that big comeback against the Bills in the playoffs, and like I said earlier, if Patrick Mahomes wasn't a damn superhero, Watson probably would have went to the damn Super Bowl himself. Patrick Mahomes had an even better comeback, which don't even make sense. And then number 5, man, I was torn between 2 old white quarterbacks, much like T, but I could not put Breeze in here, man, and that's just off of credentials, bro. Breeze reminds me a lot of Rivers, and the only difference is Breeze is 1-1. Other than that, man, all them stats and all them numbers, they don't mean nothing. Tom Brady has 6 championships, bro. 6. Realistically, he should be higher on my list, but I just think the 4 dudes I put above him are just more talented right now due to old age. But, I mean, if you ask me this going into last season, he's probably number 3. 2 seasons ago, he's probably still number 1. So off credentials alone, I got to give Brady the respect and put him in the top 5.
All right, let's dive into this. Reactions. First of all, Rome, I'm gonna start first.
Hold on.
He's skipping my
mind.
My bad. I'm gonna get you in a minute.
Hold up. Damn, y'all took the shit the gun. Well, my top 5.
I wanted to jump all over that. Go ahead.
Well, my top 5 gonna be, of course, Mr. Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson. He's debatable, but either or could go up. And then for number 3, Lamar Jackson for just winning that crazy MVP season he just gave us. And then number 4 for me will be Tom Brady, man. You guys said it earlier. 6 championship ring. He's going with a team with crazy offensive weapons. And then my last and final one is, man, y'all so disrespectful. Mr. Aaron Rodgers himself. How is Aaron Rodgers not in your top 5? How is the bad man, Mr. Aaron Rodgers, not in your top 5? First of all, Deshaun Watson never showed me nothing in the playoffs yet. Let's get that under pack. Bro, he has yet to be that man in the playoffs. Really how you go up 24 and in the second quarter, and just to have someone come back and just takes your lead and it throws another 20 on top of you? Are you crazy? I can't put him over Aaron Rodgers. So that is my top 5. Y'all, how y'all put Aaron Rodgers?
Bro, I'm pretty sure Aaron Rodgers lost to porn star Jimmy in the championship game. I'm pretty sure. Aaron Rodgers ain't even the best Aaron on his team, bro. That is an Aaron Jones-led football team. as an Aaron Jones. Like, hey, but I'll give you kudos though. I will give you kudos for not throwing Eli Manning in there like your man Scruff threw Wentz in there, bro. But Scruff, come with the smoke, bro, because I want to know what you want to jump on. Because you had Wentz, man. Come on.
All right. First of all. All right. Let's break this down. We can all agree that Watson is elite, but we can all agree Mahomes, Russell Wilson, and Lamar Jackson is like consensus. They're in there, right? Now, after that, it gets a little dicey, like I said. But from right there, you could literally argue anybody. Y'all chose to throw in some old guys based on credentials. A couple of us chose to throw in some younger guys that are performing that may have not performed in the postseason yet. But if we're going to compare Watson and Wentz, we can talk about that because the thing is, how? First of all, Wentz had more touchdowns than Watson last year, and he had far less weaponry. He had a horrible team around him playing with a whole bunch of guys from the fucking practice squad, and he throwing to the best receiver in the league, and he had more TDs. So explain that to me.
We play in a division that is trash. Redskins, ass. Cowboys, ass. Come on, man. Giants, crazy, ass.
Because the Jaguars are like so great, right? The Jaguars.
Hey, you know what? You know what Watson's problem was? You know what held Deshaun Watson back? Is Bill O'Brien, the man who just traded away the best receiver in football. You know what Wentz has that is a vast difference?
If Watson is really all that good, then if Watson has a better season, he didn't have a better season than Wentz last season anyway, and with a better weaponry. Now he about to see what it's like to not have any weapons. I'm saying Wentz outperformed him last season with less help, and Watson and Wentz playoff experience is more or less.
No. First of all, you guys have a
we're not talking about much on either side.
Name Watson's running back.
Name is running back.
Yeah, name his running back. Compared to your running back.
I mean, we're talking about what?
And then you're talking about you got to tight end.
You hand it off to your running back. You throw to your receivers. You can't complete passing yards or passing touchdowns without people that catch the ball, my friend. And having the number one receiver in the league is a lot different than having Boston Scott and Greg Ward.
I mean, Zach Ertz ain't a bum. Zach Ertz ain't a bum.
I ain't saying he's a bum, but I'm just saying who had the better help last year? Who had a better supporting cast last year? Watson or Wentz? I think we can all agree it was Watson.
All right, but do the playoffs mean nothing though? Do the playoffs mean nothing?
What did Watson do in the playoffs?
He won a game. Okay. What did Wentz do? What did Wentz do? That's all I'm saying. What did Wentz do, bro? Did Wentz complete a pass in the playoffs? Like I don't even remember, bro.
Well, if we're comparing two guys that didn't really win anything, then we can argue. But ultimately, before Wentz got hurt, he was way better than Watson, and that was the last. That's what you got to his record. He was playing great football, and he's still playing at that level. If you look at the stats, Watson and Wentz is more productive. Period.
I'll give you Wentz over Brady. I can see that, but based off 2019 only. But there ain't no way he's over Watson, bro.
Wentz over Brady? That's crazy.
Ain't no way he better than Watson, bro. I mean, I don't say.
Can he stay healthy for a whole season, bro?
Right now, man. We can't talk about what happened 5 years ago.
Hey, Wentz is made out of fucking breadsticks, bro.
I'm not even giving Wentz over Foles.
16 games.
Hey, man. I'm saying I'm going off today, bro.
Hey, we should put a poll up on the Twitter. We should put a poll up on the Twitter asking if Carson Wentz is a top 5 QB. Because I really want to know what the people think, man. Because I'm not even trying to hate on him. I honestly think Carson is a great quarterback. I just can't put him in my top 5 yet. Like he's definitely top 10. And to be honest, had he completed that playoff game and won, he probably would have been in here. But I mean, you got to. He's proven to me that he can be the man in the regular season, but you got to show improvement is most important. That's why I got Lamar at number 4. Really, Lamar could be higher up too if he would have won a playoff game, but you can't choke or lose or not be able to finish the game when the game matters more than all 17 of the regular season games or 16 of the regular season games. But they added an extra playoff spot and stuff, so maybe that'll help people like Carson Wentz break into the top 5, get an extra playoff game.
What are you talking about? He was in the playoffs last season. Like concussion protocol, you can't do nothing about somebody making a dirty play and knocking a dude out the game, bro.
Hey, look, man, your best ability is availability. We know that about football, and he's consistently not available when it counts. So
who says? He played all 16 games last year.
But
Bro,
they're not the
we all
most
know who you
important
really want to
one.
put in your
That
5,
one
bro.
playoff game
God.
Bro, that was
10
a
times
fluke.
more important.
That was literally a fluke, bro.
Hey, well, you know what? We're gonna see what Wentz though, because as long as he stays healthy, the division should be y'all's. Like I'll say that right now. You know,
we just had a fantasy draft. Did you draft him?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, just making sure.
Oh yeah, I'm this keeper league, bro. I'm not playing. I mean this shit. I really mean it. I'm not lying. I'm not lying, bro.
Be true to it. Okay.
Y'all not seeing what I'm seeing, bro. I watched every game of this man play. I'm telling you, this man.
I'm gonna be honest, bro.
This man is on par with Deshaun Watson.
I'm gonna be honest. I watch a lot of film. I do watch a lot of film. Carson Wentz does not have very many holes in his game, bro. He's not a bad quarterback. But T is right, bro. The best ability is availability. And you can be better than Deshaun Watson, but if you ain't on the field and he is, then you're not better. That's just the fact. So it might be a little unfair for Wentz, but like I said, if he can complete a playoff game and win it, then he'd definitely be moving up my rankings.
Yeah, fair enough.
But we're unanimous on Pat, right? Because that man is an alien, bro.
Yeah, I think we can all agree Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league.
One.
Definitely.
And I don't know how you got Watson ahead of Lamar Jackson. To me, if you're comparing them to, and honestly, like, that's why I said this. All of them are comparable because ultimately, what did Lamar do? He had one good season. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
I think we could lock Russ in at number 2.
One great season. Let's say.
We could lock Russ in above Lamar and Deshaun.
Definitely.
More or less. You could even argue Lamar is better than Deshaun. I mean, I'm sorry, but Lamar is better than Russell. Not really, but low key.
Can't argue that.
Yeah.
He's got the juice. Like,
we're projecting.
He's playing in a high school offense, man. He's playing a damn wing T. Like, he's in the pistol. He's not throwing the ball outside the hashes. I'm a 49ers fan. I watched the same exact offense with Kaepernick. I watched Kaepernick light it up. You're going to have to evolve as a quarterback. And Kaepernick did evolve. He just lost his weapons. But Lamar Jackson is getting more weapons. He's definitely not the quarterback that I think Kaepernick was as far as throwing the ball. I think he has a long way to go as far as dropping back and completing passes. But
so let me throw this question out. We're unanimous. Pat Mahomes is number 1 right now, right? And we all know that Lamar's got the juice and he's on the come up. Is there any chance that Lamar gets that number 1 spot over Pat this season?
No, not as long as Mahomes is healthy.
He has to beat him.
I wouldn't say no. I mean, Patrick
Lamar
is still
Jackson against Patrick Mahomes is 0-2, right?
What now?
Lamar Jackson against Patrick Mahomes is 0-2.
Yeah.
The last 2 seasons, Lamar Jackson hasn't beat Patrick Mahomes. He will have to beat Patrick Mahomes because I know they're playing this year, right? I believe they play at Kansas City.
But Lamar Jackson, it's going to be hard for him to beat Patrick Mahomes. His biggest flaw is throwing the football, right? Let's not talk around it. You saw it in Tennessee. When he has to throw to win games, it didn't happen. And you have to throw to beat. We saw the 49ers. You have to complete passes if you want to beat the Chiefs. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
Until he can light it up, drop him back, it's going to be rough just trying to run the ball for 200 yards like Al Bundy.
Why you gonna compare my man to Al Bundy, bro? Damn.
Al Bundy is a legend. All right.
Hey, he is.
But I'm just saying, you got to do more than run the football to beat the Chiefs. And the 49ers was a run-first team, too. And they was running the ball down everybody's throat. It did not work against Mahomes. That's not going to work against the Chiefs. And I'm not going to ever say he's better than Mahomes until he can, like I said, you got to beat him. And I don't think he can.
See, I'll give a little bit of pushback to that because we, as great as I'm saying Mahomes is, and I know I said he's superhuman and all that, we can't act like my man doesn't have a million weapons, bro. Like, he's got Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce. I don't even want to go on with all the damn weapons he has. It's the Super Friends. It's the Justice League. It's the damn Avengers. Like, Patrick Mahomes has a bunch of Super Friends to help him out, and that plays a factor in my mind to it. I don't know, man. I think if Lamar starts throwing this ball around, I think he's definitely going to be better than Patrick Mahomes. It's not going to be a question in my mind.
Got him some weapons.
I don't know about Patrick Mahomes having like an amazing supporting cast. I think he has a decent supporting cast. I think Tyreek Hill's elite. Yeah, elite. He's got a lead receiver and he's got a really good tight end, yes. But like the other guys are solid. You know, he's got a good above average for sure, but it's not like the Super Friends. Like, come on now.
How many quarterbacks have a top 5 tight end and a top 5 wide receiver?
I
or a
want to
top
say
10 wide
something when it
receiver
comes
if you
to
want to
that.
knock him down a little bit.
I think it's
And then
more like
Sammy
Patrick
Watkins,
Mahomes is a better player. Patrick Mahomes made Tyreek Hill from a punt return into a receiver.
that's a fair
You
point.
could argue that, like,
So
You could, yeah, you
not
could
all
argue
the
that.
receivers. He's making them look good. Like the receiver, he's putting them in the right place. Yeah, a lot goes to that. I mean, we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. He's an elite level, So like when you're talking about Lamar Jackson, I think you were a little harsh on Lamar Jackson in your analysis of his passing. I think he's gotten a lot better, and he's much improved passing, and he's just not comparable with Patrick Mahomes' level of passing because he's literally the most elite passer, even more elite than like average what we've seen from elite passers. He's like the elite of the elite. So like it's kind of crazy, but Lamar Jackson did have 36 touchdowns last year. Like you gotta put a little respect on his name as a passer. I think he's much improved, but
It's a
you
lot of
can
play
game
action,
plan
man.
him out of being comfortable and fuck him up.
A lot of play action,
Ah,
a lot of throwing the ball to the tight ends, not throwing the ball outside the hashes. It's a lot of one read, two read. If the read's not there, tuck it and run. That's not what we usually associate with high NFL quality quarterbacks, right? Usually, you want them to go through their entire progressions, maybe dump it off. This guy, all right, look, receiver's not there, tight end's not there, pull it down and run. That's not elite quarterbacking to me. Like I said, I've watched this same offensive coordinator with Kaepernick. It's the same exact offense. He's doing it a little bit more dynamic. Cap put up some similar stats. He didn't have an MVP line, but got to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, in my mind, Lamar has to get to the Super Bowl for me to even compare him to Cap as a quarterback. I just don't think he throws the ball that good. I think he throws the ball probably worse than Trubisky. I mean, watch the tape. Every
wait,
pass is
wasn't
watch
he in
it.
your top
Watch the
five
tape.
though?
Watch
You said Lamar in your top
because
five, right?
right, because he's that dynamic, right? He can make plays. I'm not taking anything away from him as a player, just as a quarterback, like pure quarterbacking. He's not the prototypical quarterback, and I don't want to. I hate knocking him as a black guy, but at the end of the day, when he has to throw to win, he hasn't done it. I have to see it first.
Yeah,
I have to see it.
yeah.
So T, tell me. So
Like 18
you
games,
saw
20
your
games.
team lost to both of these top players. So Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. Which game were you scared? Which game made you more nervous going up against?
Mahomes. I wasn't worried about Lamar Jackson. We played them in a torrential downpour, which is conducive to running the football. We were two running teams. They beat us in a very, very close game. I think they beat us in the last possession. Justin Tucker hit a field goal. So it wasn't that close with the Chiefs. I mean, we were up, but the Chiefs ended up, getting us out of there. So even Lamar Jackson didn't look as good as Patrick Mahomes when the 49ers. I'm a 49ers fan. When we went head to head with them. I'm critical of Lamar, but I need to see it first.
Very
I'm not.
critical, man. Your analysis makes me feel like he's not top five. I agree with most of your points, though. He's gotta throw more. He's definitely got to throw more. But I think he will, though. I don't see a
I
situation
think he will too.
where he won't. He's got the weapons, and I think he's got the arms. It's just a matter of if they're gonna coach him up. As a Redskin fan, I saw the same thing with RG3. Like it was all one read and run. But it was a situation where the player wasn't really willing to be coached up on how to be a pocket passer at the time. So as long as Lamar is willing to be coached up and the Ravens are actually willing to coach him up on passing the ball, then he'll probably supersede Patrick Mahomes as the best quarterback in the league, man. Because I'm telling you, man, that dual threat, man, like the running, if you can do it the way Lamar is doing it and add a little bit of what Patrick Mahomes is doing, or just any regular quarterback that can throw, then you're unstoppable.
Oh, does this give you a little insight into what maybe the ownership, the organization, the management thinks of him? They took J.K. Dobbins in a loaded wide receiver draft. They
Yeah, but
plan
they
on
also
running.
took Devin Duvernay.
Yeah, they took him. Who did they take first?
They were like, yeah, they took Dobbins first. So what? He needed
Yeah,
a running back. Like
not need
Mark
a running back.
Ingram's not like that good,
You have
Mark
Mark
Ingram's
Ingram,
getting up there in
Gus
age.
Edwards, and I
and
think
he's a
with Justin
receiving
Fields,
back. If you're really breaking down Dobbins' game, he's a receiving back. He's
we'll
he's
see.
definitely excellent out of the backfield, and that's a guy that would work well with Lamar Jackson. That's a weapon. I don't see it as a shade on
I
Lamar.
think
think
I
that
think it's making a strength stronger. You know what I'm saying? Like they already do that whole option game, and Dobbins is going to fit perfect with that.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's just making a strength stronger. But regardless of anything, Lamar's got to start hitting passes outside of the number. I think we definitely agree on that.
Man, that's crazy. I think that y'all being a little harsh on him.
Watch the tape.
I agree. Like the stuff was elementary, but what needs to be said is that he won the MVP throwing those like basic, passes and really simple reads, and that's the amazing part about it. And that's why the thing about Lamar Jackson that's so scary is just progression wise from year one, where they had a very, 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 very simple offense. He was just coming in and like mid-season they threw something together for him. Then they threw out the playbook, and you've seen what happened. It was a total. First of all, no one could figure it out for the majority of the season. Then finally, people started figuring it out, and then they had to adjust the game a little bit. Ultimately, they got a little cold with the little weight off period, and they lost a playoff game. So what, man? Like a lot of great players did. Like Patrick Mahomes did it before. There was he just puts up big numbers during the season. That's exactly what they were saying about him. That's exactly what they were saying about him. I'm not saying Lamar Jackson will come in and win the Super Bowl this year because like that's the highest expectation of what could happen. But I'm saying he's going to be coming in with that same energy, and he's going to continue. If the rate of improvement he did from year 1 to 2, 2 to 3, it's going to be another big improvement. But I don't want to see what's going to happen like year 5, 6, and so on if he continues improving at any rate, kind of like he did from 1 to 2, because that's an astronomical improvement.
No, I really agree with you. I think he'll take a jump again, but I just don't see him jumping past Mahomes.
Yeah, and I agree on that. Not right now, anyway.
Hey, so Patrick Mahomes got the league on lock for the next 5 years, then?
Nah, he doesn't have he's the best quarterback though. But that doesn't mean the best quarterback does not always win. It happened this year, but it does not always happen.
I mean,
back to your point about.
Go
ahead, T. You got it.
I was just gonna say I don't think he'll run off rings like Tom Brady, but I think he'll consider.
He might if they keep that Super Friend team together. He might.
But
those got way too much parity. He ain't gonna be nothing like that. Tyreek Hill volatile. You never know what could happen, man.
Facts.
They're not unbeatable, my friend. They barely won it, honestly. The 49ers could have been the champs like easily. A couple things went their way.
I don't know, man. The way that Patrick Mahomes just kept coming back, man. They should have lost to the Texans too, bro. Like
that's what you got to do.
I can't knock a team that comes back. Like I can't say that was all Patrick Mahomes, man. Down 24-0 in that one game and then losing in the Super Bowl. That ain't all Mahomes, bro. Like that team is super solid. That coach is incredible. The Chiefs as a whole are just they're crazy to me.
I disagree. I mean, every NFL team is super solid. I agree. Every NFL team is super solid. I think honestly, all 32 teams, like that team is not so elite. What's elite about that team is 2 things: the coach and the quarterback. That's the elite part about that team.
Bro, compare the weapons to the Chiefs to the weapons on the Redskins.
Well, do the
it's
Chiefs
laughable.
have the same?
It's laughable.
Probably have similar weapons.
Comparison, but if you compare the weapons on the Chiefs to the weapons on the Chargers, they're about the same.
You just said that they were like almost team. I wouldn't even say it's the same as the Packers.
Any contender, if you look at their rosters, it's comparable. Any playoff
I wouldn't say it's the same as the Saints either. The Travis Kelce makes a huge jump from the Packers and the Saints. Neither one of those quarterbacks have a super reliable tight end like Travis Kelce, and that makes all the difference. And for a lot of QBs,
tight ends like that, but.
What about the Cowboys? There's a lot of teams that have a lot.
The Cowboys would actually be the Cowboys would actually be a comparison.
I'd say the Cowboys team is way better, like on paper, like receivers and backs than the Chiefs. The Chiefs don't even have an elite back.
And I think Sammy Watkins is super overrated. That's just my personal.
Since when is Sammy Watkins like an elite receiver? The dude was on his way as
personal opinion.
I don't know, nobody's saying he's elite, but he could probably be a number 1 receiver on a couple teams.
No, he could not.
What team?
I'm sure he could be a number 1 receiver on a few teams, bro.
What team?
When Tyreek Hill went down, Sammy Watkins take a step up.
He was a number 1 receiver on the team. That's why he got traded to the Chiefs, because he wasn't a number 1 receiver. They said, "All right, bro, he can be your number 2," and he was a strong 2. But now he's really not even a 2 no more.
He'd be the number 1.
Take those snaps.
He'd be the number 1 receiver in Seattle. Russell Wilson would take him.
He's not better than DK Metcalf. Come on, my friend.
Blasphemous. You're blasphemous.
DK Metcalf had a better season last season than Sammy Watkins had in probably most of his entire career.
Sleeping on Sammy, bro. Sleeping on Sammy.
DK Metcalf's season is so much promise, bro. Come on.
Didn't he restructure his contract and take a big cut?
Yeah,
bro. He knows what he is. He's a role player now.
That's a
Telltale
good
sign.
player.
He got you. He got you fooled. He got you fooled.
All right, man. Y'all sleeping on
The
Sammy,
Lizard
bro.
King. You said the Lizard King is the number one receiver. You're
The Lizard
crazy.
King.
You're crazy, bro. Sammy Watkins number one. Sammy Watkins
Hey,
is better than Lockett,
didn't
bro.
like didn't like 3 or 4 people like try to trade up and get Sammy in our little fantasy draft, bro? Everybody hating on Sammy right now, but niggas wanted to draft Sammy though. Like
Bro, that was like round 17 to 18, bro.
but he's clearly gonna get some targets. He's clearly gonna get some type of love. If
Those
like
were
y'all just
guys,
acting like he's a nobody right now.
I
fringe
don't think
roster
so.
players being drafted at that spot. What are you talking about? Not
I
number
think
one
he's going to.
receivers.
I think he's going to split snaps with McCole Hardman. I really I think
Hey,
he's going to
there's
see
another
more.
there's another guy that's a
Someone
dog
drafted
too
Luke
though.
Kuechly, bro. Someone drafted Luke Kuechly, bro, in our draft, bro. I'm not taking no offense to all of us, but bro, come on now. I'm like, well, Sammy Watkins.
Look, to be fair, that was the longest fantasy draft I've ever been a part of. It started on Friday, I think. It finished today. I drafted Reuben Foster like in a half fog, half sleep. Like, yeah, I think this guy has nerve damage. I don't even know if he's playing football again.
Hey, it's all
Like,
good, man. It's all good. Hey, nah, we know what I'm saying. That joint gonna be elite though. It's gonna be elite. It's gonna be elite. But yo, I
Hey,
want
Noose,
to
thank
switch
you
the
for the
topic a
second
little
pick.
bit, man. So,
I-
fellas, switching it up, sports for the culture. I gotta address this. Something that's kind of like somewhere on the heavier side of the news that's kind of been hitting recently, and it's this incident that happened with Bubba Wallace, man, a NASCAR driver. So, if y'all familiar with Bubba Wallace, he's the only black driver in NASCAR, and he was also the black driver that was advocating for the removal of the Confederate flags. So what happened was, if y'all don't know, he had found a noose. Somebody, he didn't actually find it. Somebody else found it. A noose in his garage. So right away, I just want to say, well, what was y'all takeaway? What was y'all initial reaction when was hearing this?
I'm not surprised.
My initial reaction was like, wow, it's crazy. But then later on, reports it said that the FBI said that the noose was there prior to him getting that locker. But even though like nobody's bothered to remove that noose from there, is like it's kind of offsetting because like why nobody bothered to take the limits to be like, yo, let's clean out this lock, let's clean out this car space, and make sure that there's nothing there that's inappropriate for someone of his stature coming into it, knowing that that's a predominantly all white kind of sport. It's good to see someone else, like someone from a different ethnicity, going to all white male sport to like diversify, to open it for a better audience. But yeah, just to hear the news at first, I was at shock. I'm like, God damn, bro, like what kind of wild shit is that? Like people are still doing some shit like that. And then when you hear the reports later on, I'm still kind of left flabbergasted because I'm like, why nobody bothered to take the noose out of there, giving him that locker, that card space?
Yeah, go ahead, Scruff.
I was gonna say like what do you think about that FBI investigation? That seems a little funny to me.
Man, I don't understand why the FBI had to investigate NASCAR. Should have been able to do it on their own, but I appreciate them trying to be, I don't know, visible and have some transparency there. But I'm not surprised by it, whether it was intended for him or not. It's NASCAR, if they had to have they took all the sports leagues, right? And they had a competition on noose tying. NASCAR's gonna finish it first. Let's just be for real. Like, who still knows how to tie a noose in 2020? Like
Racist.
yeah. I mean, right. That's what surprised me the most. Like, you got to damn near Google how to tie a noose. They don't teach it in Boy Scouts. But racism and hate, it just knows no end. And whether it was for him or not, I think that FBI said it was like a garage hold down thing, possibly. It's so racist that they're pulling down into the damn car garages with nooses. Like, I'm not surprised that it was NASCAR. I don't know whether it was intended for him or not, because maybe he had that bay previously, or I don't know. But I'm not surprised. It was still a noose. Racism is still alive. And NASCAR is rallying behind this guy, noose or not. And I'm glad to see that.
Definitely.
I feel like NASCAR is probably a dying sport in a sense. And every other sport has realized you need the black dollar. And NASCAR needs black fans. So you saw what Tiger Woods did to golf, Venus Arena for tennis. They need that guy for NASCAR, and you're not going to get it with nooses and Confederate flags. So I think they're trending in the right direction. It's probably for economic reasons, but at the end of the day, it's still the right direction. So good for NASCAR in a sense.
Man, this was definitely a heavy story. My initial reaction was, I was angry, I was pissed off because for the first time in my life, I was actually starting to care a little bit about NASCAR. I mean, like I genuinely have gotten into every sport. A lot of people don't like baseball. I love baseball. I enjoy golf. I enjoy tennis. I mean, y'all broke out a ping pong table and started playing right now, I'd probably get into that, man. I just like competition in general, bro. I'll watch people play checkers. So I was disappointed because for the first time in my life, I'm getting into NASCAR, and then this whole news thing happens. I like to wait for the news to come out and like investigations and all that to be finished before I really like make a statement or say how I feel about something. Because I had a feeling that once this was all said and done, it was going to be a situation where it was like, oh, that was already there, or the cameras happen to be off when the person did it or whatever. You know what I mean? Because as we all know, COVID's going around. It's a restricted area. Even if COVID wasn't going, there's cameras. So if someone went in there, tied a noose purposely to be a racist asshole, then you would have got caught without a long investigation. It wouldn't have taken days. It would have taken a look at the damn camera. So I mean, it makes no sense. I don't know what I don't know enough about NASCAR to know if that's how they always pull the doors down by a noose or a noose like contraption or whatever. Maybe someone who's a little more educated on NASCAR knows what the hell that's about. It doesn't sound right to me at all. But I don't know. The only positive that came out of this is how everyone rallied around him. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, they rallied around him for fake news or whatever, but nah, a noose in there, regardless of the reason, is bullshit. So I'm glad to see NASCAR and the fans rally around him. Shout out to Bubba Wallace, man. I'm 30 years old. I've never cared about NASCAR, and you got me caring about NASCAR. So shout out to Bubba Wallace for that.
Word. I mean, from what the report said, more or less, it was like a makeshift garage door handle, something like that. But something about the situation just seemed a little off. Don't seem about right. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, one thing about Bubba though, I'll tell you from the situation. And some people like him, man, he represents America to me in many aspects. And I think one thing you could say for sure, especially after the stand of solidarity, man, that you know what he's about, man. And he stood tall, man. And honestly, like he did it the right way, talking about love, talking about compassion. He stood by it with everything that he was learning, and he going through a hard time, man. And he's in a sport that's, he's the minority, big time in the sport, but he's making waves for more and more kids to start following in that path and start, doing these type of things. Like you're starting to see more and more, tennis players, like they want to be like Venus and Serena. You know what I'm saying? Like more and more kids playing golf, more and more black baseball players, you know what I'm saying? Like hockey players, like NASCAR, like, that dude, like he is like an extension of America and the melting pot of cultures. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it was a strong sentiment, and I love the fact that they rallied behind him, all in all. And that I felt good about. And I'm glad that whether it was done or not out of malice, we may not know, but ultimately I'm glad that it did happen because it brought light to the stuff. Because the stuff, if it was done purposely, I do believe stuff like this does still happen. So and people like to turn a blind eye to it. So now it's all been brought to the forefront, and I think that's good.
Hey, I just want to say something real quick on the whole news situation. I take things like this very personally. I had a friend. We live in Virginia. We live in a mixed area, predominantly white still. And he lived on the mountain with me. And someone put a noose in his yard. Someone hung a noose in his yard. So Scruff, you're absolutely right. These things 1,000% still happen. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh well, that's just what NASCAR has to pull down doors. I don't care. And they need to change that. If that's how they're pulling down doors, they need to get a new handle. But that's just my thoughts on it. So go ahead, T. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Man, no, that's kind of makes me forget my point. But I do want to say, yeah, that stuff is still going on. We've seen recently in the news, black men, I think 4 or 5 have been found hanging from trees. So we know this stuff, in which they haven't even really investigated. They just said suicide, which I really don't think black men are killing themselves from trees. But sure. But yeah, we know this stuff still exists, and like you said, it needs to be gone from the culture. Period. But and like Scruff, that was my point. What Scruff was saying, like NASCAR really could be that melting pot. It really could be a place where you see different groups start to come together, and that's what sports does. It brings people together, people that would have never talked, people that would have never been in the same room. I heard some crazy stat that recently that 75% of white people don't even have one black friend, one minority friend. So, when you can have something like NASCAR and then you can invite other cultures in, I think that's big. And I think NASCAR is moving in the right direction. And it's slow, but progress is typically a slow process. But yeah, Bubba Wallace is that guy. So shout out to Bubba Wallace for pioneering and trailblazing.
Definitely. Shout out Bubba Wallace. Shout out to my boy Bryce out here. Your pilot speaking. Look like they got the old handle out there. Young Abu Dhabi out here. See you on the next episode, brother.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, fellas, man, this is always, man, where the line of culture and sports and race intersects, man. It's ultimately, man. It's why we do what we do, man. It's why we talk about the stuff we need to talk about, man. It's why, everything that we doing, man. This is what we do it for, man. So
Absolutely, man. It's not just sports; it's sports for the culture.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Deportes por la cultura.
So if y'all aren't already hip, man, go ahead and follow us on the Twitter, the IG. That way you can get all the information, all the latest news. We got articles that we post all the time, and then when these sports get popping, man, I'm telling you, you're gonna want to be down with gas sports, man. We're gonna be the new wave. So get down while it's still fresh. Definitely subscribe to this podcast. It's on Spotify. It'll be on YouTube, and you can keep watching us live on Tuesdays on Twitter and Periscope, man. You guys got anything you want to say before we peace out?
Hey, folks, if you guys are going to keep on tuning in, tune into Nick's Madness about Carson Wentz.
Hey, proof's going to be in the pudding, baby. I'm going to be looking like a freaking fortune teller right here, man. I'm telling you.
Nostradamus, Nick?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Making them big predictions, baby.
Quick shout out to everybody that's been supporting.
I'm seeing into the future. Yes, sir. But one time, man, y'all know what time it is. We're going to log it off one time strong. Sports for the culture, baby.
Sports for the culture.
Sports for the culture.
Sports para la cultura.
Hey.